Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So, again, I'm going to tackle the upcoming election. It's a week from tomorrow. And it really is a very important election that you really need to be prepared for. So, I don't know if you guys watch Life, Liberty, and Levin, or Redacted, or some of these other great people out there. But I want to compress kind of what has been said about this upcoming election and why it's so important. So I have said for a long time that the Democrats are very panicky. They will stop at nothing to make sure that Trump does not get into office. And I stand by that 1,000%. He is the epitome of what they don't want in this country. At his rally at Madison Square Garden, there were people having the Israeli flag flown. He just got the endorsement yesterday from the Islamic community in Michigan. If he was everything that they keep saying that he is, he would not be getting the support from both of them, right? If he was this Hitlerish person, the Jewish community would not be supporting him, but they are, because they saw what happened at the colleges and universities where the Democratic government let the anti-Semitic morons protest, right, against Israel. But he also would not get the support from the Muslim community if all of them didn't believe that Trump could bring peace back to the world. And I believe that 100%. So here's what is on the street from several different people and websites and videos and articles of what it could look like. Okay? So the Democrats right now are putting us in a position where, so some of these states and counties are trying to clean up their voter rolls. And I talked about this, I think, in my last video or the video just before that, where, it's like, why didn't they do this back in 2021? Why didn't they clean up their voter rolls then? But they're trying to clean them up. They're trying to get rid of all of these people that have passed away, people that have moved away, and people that are not eligible voters, i.e. illegal aliens. So there's a lot of lawsuits out there about who can and who cannot be on these voter registrations. So that's number one. And that's a double-edged sword. And here's why. Like I explained to you about Wisconsin. Wisconsin basically is unverifiable because there are so many, there's more people on the voter registration than there are eligible voters in Wisconsin. Okay? And this is happening all across the country. The problem is we see this as an affront to our democracy, right? These are supposed to be fair elections. But what the Democrats will do is they're going to let this stuff slide. And then when the votes are cast on November 5th, then they will come back and say, well, that can't be verifiable. If Trump wins, right? They're going to come back and say, well, no, Trump didn't win because these are unverifiable. So they're allowing it to be that way so that they can turn and use it on November 5th. Okay? They're cheating the system. So that's one way that they're going to try to take this away. The second way, I'm sure you've heard, is that they, in especially Washington and Oregon, in places where Trump is polling very well, they're throwing these things into ballot boxes and setting afire these ballots that people have already turned into these ballot boxes. So let's just burn them out, right? Because these are places that are polling very well for Trump in what they call the swing counties or swing cities, right? So Trump is polling very well for them, so we're just going to ignite these ballots. We're just going to set them on fire, and then these people are going to have to come back and vote again, right? But then any of them that might have survived enough, then they can go after them for casting 2 ballots. Okay, so they're going to use that against us. What is going to happen if Trump wins? And I'm leaning that way. I have nothing to back this up. I have nothing concrete, and I will be straightforward and transparent with that. But I believe that if Trump wins, they will not allow him to be inaugurated. So I've talked about this in several different videos. In my opinion, the CIA is going to help back some pro-democracy demonstrations, notice I put that in quotes, that will give cover for Congress to block Trump's win on January 6th of 2025. Why January 6th? Remember that is when they have to certify the votes. Okay? So they are going to try to block Trump's win. The CIA is going to back riots. Remember 2020, the summer of love. They are going to back these demonstrations. They will block Trump's win. They will not certify the votes for the very reasons that I just gave. Uncertifiable. That they're allowing to happen. They are going to do what it takes. They are desperate. And I don't think a lot of people understand how deep that goes. If Trump wins, let's say that he gets inaugurated. No, let's say that his votes get certified on January 6th. We could still have martial law on January 20th to not allow the inauguration to happen. Why would I say martial law? Well, I talked about those 4, actually 5, wars that are happening right now. Okay, remember that President Biden, if you can call him that, and Camel Toe, they are in power until January 20th. So they could stop the inauguration right up to Inauguration Day on January 20th, using whatever means necessary. Now, we all hope and pray that it is a smooth transition of power. But do you really think the Dems, after everything that they've done, when they took Joe off the ballot, installed Camel Toe, she has absolutely zero policies to back anything up. They're resorting to what they always resort to, which is calling Republicans candidates, Hitlerish, and these people that want to be the ruler of the land, the king, right? They did it to Lincoln. They did it to Reagan. They're doing it to Trump. It's an old play out of their playbook, right? It's kind of like the Hail Mary in football. You know, they use it every time in desperation. That's what they're doing now. But what this means for you is that you cannot let your guard down between now and a week from tomorrow, as of the posting of this video, okay? And anytime between then and Inauguration Day, January 20th. You cannot let your guard down. You need to have your sidearm. You need to have your defense ready. You need to have your comms ready, your food, your water. You need to have everything ready. If nothing happens, praise the Lord. But I believe that they are too desperate. They do not want Trump to win. And here's why. If the Dems take the presidency, the House, and the Senate. So let's pretend for a minute that everything that we're hearing that is leaning Trump, they figure out a way to steal it away and they go back the other way. And the Democrats take over the presidency, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. The first thing that's going to happen is Schumer is going to end the filibuster. And he's going to pass 4 immediate pieces of legislation. The first one is they will take the feds will take over the feds will have the takeover of every election. So no more election integrity, no voter ID law. They will legalize the ballot harvesting. They will never lose another election because they will federalize elections. So rather than states having control, the government will have control over elections. Do you think that there's any way possible for conservatives to fight that in the presence of, like, nobody can deny it, undeniability, undeniable sabotage, fraud, if the government is taking over all of it? Will never happen. Number 2, they want to add Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico as states. That gives them 4 new Democratic senators. So the Democrats would never lose a Senate. Number 3, immediately they would grant amnesty and the right to vote for every illegal immigrant in America today. That's 20 to 30 million. Think of it this way, as Ted Cruz said, Texas would turn into California like that. They'd instantly become a blue state. And number 4, they want to take the Supreme Court from 9 to 13 and put in those 4 positions they're leftist liberal judges that would exterminate forever free speech, Second Amendment, and religious liberty. You don't think this can happen? Remember, prepping is in the tone of possibilities. Okay? Think about what Kamala Harris said, and I mentioned this in one of my last 2 videos. When somebody yelled out, "Jesus is Lord," she said, "You're at the wrong rally." Do you really think she's going to stand up for religious liberty? Do you think that she's going to stand up for Second Amendment rights? when she continuously talks about taking those rights away? Do you really think she's going to stand up for free speech? Which we already know that the Biden administration coerced a lot of these media giants to quelch COVID information and other health information. Do you really think that they're going to allow you to have a dissenting voice? The stakes could not be higher. We thought 2020, and I remember I made videos back then. We thought 2020 was going to be the end-all be-all, right? The difference between then and now, they're not hiding it, folks. It was a shock when we woke up the day after the elections in November and Trump had lost. We won't be in shock this time. It will be a thing that we will expect and we will respond to. We cannot sit back and let our Constitution go up in flames like it's going to do if they do this again. So here's what I want you to do. So like I said, as of the posting of this video, okay, we have a week from tomorrow. Watch for those pro-democratic demonstrations. These people out there saying, oh my gosh, right? Burning down cities. Sound familiar? You need to be prepared for this. Within the next week, we are upping our defense. We are making sure that everything that can be filled will be filled. We are making sure that all of our personal protective equipment is ready to go. And we are going to be watching for the verbiage that comes out of the mainstream media. Pro-democratic demonstrations. That's another term for we're going to burn your city down because you don't think like us. And that's coming from the left. And this will be CIA, in my opinion, CIA funded, George Soros funded. But I'm also not ruling out the possibility that the one that we want to take that Oval Office will still be alive. I cannot take that for granted because they are desperate. So you guys need to be prepared from every day from now until after inauguration. Do not let your guard down. Do not let your defense down. Keep filling in those gaps that you have. But also decide what you're going to do. If you see this happening, what are you willing to do for the United States of America? Ask not what we can do for you, but what you can do for us. You really need to take that to heart. What will you do if you see this coming to fruition? Stand by, say, oh well, or are you actually going to fight for the country that you love? Stay safe, stay vigilant, and God bless.